Stardew Valley is the ultimate cozy farm sim. However, a lot of people find themselves intimidated to play this beautiful game. I remember the first time I played, I felt like I was wandering around aimlessly and I had zero idea what the hell I was doing. Where I will tell you, there's absolutely no wrong way to play. I do understand the hesitation to just jump right in. One of the major things I love about this game is that you can play it however you want. Common casual, or you can make it a challenge. There's literally no repercussion either way. There's so much to Stardew Valley that is hidden deep within the game, and if you don't know where to look, you may never find them. But I'm getting carried away with myself. Let's start with the basics. I made this video with the intention of helping others understand the basic concepts of Stardew Valley, but honestly, there's even an endless amount of basics. So this will be the first installment of the Beginner's Tips and Tricks series. Let's start with tip number 1. Before you even make your character, it's a good idea to go into your settings over here and check off the Guarantee Year 1 Completable option. This ensures that a certain item can be available to you in Year 1 to complete a bundle in the Community Center. I won't go into too much detail about the Community Center just to avoid spoilers. Tip number 2 involves selecting your farm. Upon creating your character, you will be given the choice of 7 different farm types. They each possess their own special attributes and challenges. To start off, I always advise people to either choose the standard farm, which has a lot of space for crops and buildings, or the Four Corners farm. The Four Corners farm may seem intimidating, but it's a great option for beginners because it has 4 plots that each contain attributes from other farm types. This can be really helpful starting off. Tip number 3. Once you have loaded into the game, open up your menu, select the Options button, and scroll down to the Zoom in and out feature. If you want to be able to see more on your screen, zoom all the way out. This is really handy for when you're out foraging and in the mines because you can easily see what items there are in that area. Tip number 4. Now that we have some simple settings out of the way, let's get to the actual game. First thing you should do every morning when you wake up is check your TV. Simply walk over to it and select it. The TV contains 4 components in the early game. The first is the weather report. This will predict the weather for the next day, which can be helpful for planning your day. When it rains, you do not need to water your crops, and certain fish show up only in specific weather conditions. The second thing you will see is the fortune teller. They will tell you what your luck is for the day, which determines things like how well you will do in the mines, amount of wood dropped from trees, chance of getting items from trash cans, chance of treasure chests appearing when fishing, etc. The third component is living off the land. On Mondays and Thursdays, this channel gives you tips relating to farming, fishing, foraging, and life in the town. This is super helpful, especially for first-time players. The last component is the Queen of Sauce. This channel shows up on Sundays and Wednesdays. Sundays will teach you a new recipe, and on Wednesdays, it will randomly show a rerun to a previously taught recipe in case you miss a day. Recipes are extremely helpful later on in the game, so definitely take advantage of this. Tip number 5. Check your mailbox every morning when you step outside of your farmhouse. If you see an envelope icon floating above it, you have mail. You will sometimes receive gifts, recipes, quests, town happenings, etc. So definitely check it. Tip number 6. Although it may be tempting to sell every little thing you find to scrounge up some cash, I advise that you keep at least 5 of everything. Sometimes items are needed for crafting, a recipe, a quest, a bundle item in the community center, or an artifact to be donated to the museum. Some items can only be found in certain seasons, so if you've run out of a specific one, you may not be able to get it again until the next year. Tip number 7. Utilize chests. You have this crafting recipe right away, and I advise you use it. Saving a little of every item adds up in your inventory, and you only have so much room in your backpack in the beginning. You can place chests around town, which is nice for storing items when you're, say, out fishing or mining. Just be sure not to place a chest in the path of a villager, or else everything in that chest will be destroyed. Check out this handy guide from Wickety Chickety to see villager paths. I'll place the link in the description below. Tip number 8. Use the Add to Existing stack and organize buttons and chests to help keep you organized, save time, and not take up unnecessary room in chests. As a Type A personality, I love this. Tip number 9. In the beginning, focus on growing different kinds of crops, both for moolah and for community center bundles. Villagers will sometimes ask for certain crops on the quest board, or they may send you a letter requesting one. This is super easy money. Tip number 10. Each season contains different forageables and different crops you can grow, so be sure to do your fair share of planting and foraging in every season. You never know what you'll need for the community center. Tip number 11. Each crop also has a certain number of days they need to grow, so be mindful of this when you plant them. You don't want to plant, say, a bunch of cauliflower 6 days before the season is over because they take 12 days to grow. You'll have a major loss in profits because they will be destroyed at the start of the next season. Tip number 12. Once you reach farming level 1, you will gain the recipe for fertilizer. Definitely utilize fertilizer. It will increase your chance of getting higher quality crops, which of course sell for more money. There are other things you can mix into the soil to help with farming, such as retaining soil, so keep in mind that you can only use one of these in a tilled spot at a time, so choose wisely. Tip number 13. You're not going to like hearing this, but take time to clear out your farm. It's so tedious and it uses up energy, but it's so worth it. Take care to especially keep the area around your crops cleared out, as debris can grow onto them and destroy them. In the early game, you start off with very low energy, so I advise watering your crops first before you start clearing. You can always eat food to increase your energy. Tip number 14. If you do run out of energy well before the day is done, fair warning, this will happen a lot in the early game, and you have no way of replenishing your energy, go out foraging or chat with the villagers. You can either use the forageables you find to replenish your energy or save them for another day. Tip number 15. Don't underestimate making friends with the villagers. Talk to them often and learn their liked and loved gifts. There are major benefits to being social. Giving a liked or loved gift on a villager's birthday is a great way to earn a large amount of friendship points. Keep in mind you can only give villagers 2 gifts a week, so if their birthday is coming up, make sure you save one for that day. Tip number 16. Whenever you leave the farm, empty out your backpack so you have room to pick up any goodies you find out and about. One item to always keep in your backpack, however, should be the hoe. You can use this to dig up artifact spots all around town. Tip number 17. In your first year, it's a good idea to attend festivals. For one, this is a super easy way to talk to all villagers in one spot, which is easy friendship points. And second, some items you may only purchase or retrieve at the specific event. Plus, the events can be fun. Tip number 18. Whenever you pop into town, it's a great idea to check the calendar and quest board right outside of Pierre's General Store. The calendar shows when upcoming events are and even villagers' birthdays. The quest board will have varying quests from villagers, which is great for extra income and friendship points. Tip number 19. In the early game, Pierre's is closed on Wednesdays, so be sure to plan ahead. If you have a plot of crops that will be ready to harvest on Wednesday, be sure you have seed packets ready to go since you can't go into Pierre's. Or I guess you could go to Joja, but we don't talk about Joja here. And the last tip, tip number 20, is on Fridays and Sundays, there's a traveling cart that sits in the Cindersap Forest that sells randomized goods. Some are rare and valuable. Others are easy to find on your own. But what's great about the traveling cart is A, sometimes she has quite rare items that are hard to attain or you cannot attain until late game. B, you can sometimes get seed packets or other seasonal items in any season. Or C, you can find bundle items that you may struggle to get and can just purchase them. Sometimes the items have a high price tag for what they are, so it's up to the discretion of the player if they would like to drop that coin. Make sure to save your money on Fridays and Sundays for the traveling cart. And you know what? Here's a bonus tip. Remember that there's no correct way to play Stardew Valley, and you don't need to race to the end. You don't even have to play how it's intended to. If you just want to grow crops and take care of animals, you can do just that. There's no pressure to do any more. Just have fun and play how it's most comfortable for you. Honestly, that bonus tip is the only one you truly need. This game is meant for all gamer types to enjoy, and that's one of the biggest things I love about it. I do hope that some of these tips help you become less intimidated and make you feel confident to experience this wonderful game that brings joy to so many. Let me know in the comments below any other things you would like to learn about the game, and who knows, maybe it'll be featured in the next video. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!